Hi folks, you know there's nothing like the sound of a screen door slamming on a summer's day. We do have a problem with this screen door though, and we're getting ready to address that. Stick around and let's learn together.
The problem's actually not so much with the screen door as it is the wall itself. See, that wall's not staying in place when you slam that screen door. It keeps moving it. So my dad and I are trying to adjust that to get it where it needs to be so we can go on to the next step and take care of this problem for the long term.
Well, I think we have a fix for this. What we need to do is secure the bottom board, kind of the seal plate that's at the bottom of the wall, to the concrete. That wasn't done appropriately whenever they built this porch many years ago. Now we're going to need a few things for this to turn out right. I've got a 1-inch Forstner bit, and I'm going to use a 3/8" masonry bit. And then we're going to use some Tapcon bolts to go through the wood and into the concrete.
And the reason I'm doing this is to create a pocket for that bolt. You see that wood, when it's stacked up, it's pretty high, and that bolt needs to go well into the concrete. Plus, it'll look better when we're done.
Now we're switching over to our 3/8" masonry bit. These are rated for impact, which is the mode we're going to use to drill the hole. The nice thing about the Forstner bit is it left a small divot in the center of the hole, so I can use that as a guide to start with the masonry bit. Now it is important to drill to the right depth on this. You want to drill the hole about a 1/2 inch deeper than the actual bolt that we're going to put in there. So I'm going to have to sink this drill bit pretty much all the way to get this down in there. And oh, by the way, drilling into the concrete does get very loud, so I'm using earplugs.
Now, as I'm drilling this hole, I back out every once in a while, and I use a little vacuum to try to clean it out. There was a point where we ended up getting a larger vacuum because this one didn't quite have enough power to get everything it needed to. Hey, if you don't think my video sucks, get it, vacuum cleaner? Anyway, if you like my DIY and woodworking content, like and subscribe for me. That helps a lot. Thanks. Now, I found that the drill bit that I was using wasn't going to go quite deep enough because I had to go through that wood and then into the concrete. So I ended up putting a little extension on my drill. Now, I ran the risk here of that drill bit coming out and having to use pliers to get it out, but it all worked out in the end. One final cleanup here.
Now that we got that drilled out and vacuumed out, we're going to go ahead and install the bolt. We're going to use a deep well socket for that with 9/16 to go with the bolt.
Now, had I been smart, I would have brought with me my heavy-duty impact driver instead of trying to use this little bitty socket wrench to do this. That was a bad idea.
Screen feels really good. It's like a cheese grater on the knuckles.
Well, I can tell you that the struggle is real. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But eventually I fought with it, and with a little effort, I did get it in there. And we're ready to move on.
Well, we got that bolt in, and that's not going anywhere. But this is a porch, and it's a screened-in porch, so there is a chance rain and all would come in. We have this big hole right here where water could settle. So we have a dowel plug that's a 1-inch dowel, which is the same size that I drilled with that Forstner's bit. We're going to sand it down a little to make sure we get a good snug fit. And we're going to use some type 3 glue, which holds up to water much better. And we'll put this plug in to keep the water out of the hole. Once we get that in, we'll let it dry just a little bit, and then we'll come back and cut this off.
Now that dowel is a really tight fit in that hole. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to give it a little bit of a taper on the edge just to help get it started in there. So I'm just going to smooth that around a little bit and then give it a test fit. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to apply some of that type 3 glue, putting it toward the lower edge there. It'll push up with the plug as I put it in. Of course, use my finger to spread it around. And once I got it where I want it, I can put it in there, and then we're going to take the hammer and we're going to do a little tap, tap, tap here. Now I have to be careful I don't go too far. That's a fairly skinny piece of wood for that size plug, and I don't want to split it, but it goes well.
Well, we've let that plug set up a little bit, and it's dried enough to where we can cut it off, get it fairly flush. And we're going to use a piece of wood I'm going to try to protect the screen with, just so I don't accidentally hit it. hopefully.
So I quickly realized that that piece of wood was just going to fall over on me. So I decided to throw caution to the wind and do this without that piece of wood. There's not too many holes in the screen. And added to my list of tools I should have brought with me was a reciprocating or oscillating saw. That would have made this easier. So I hit that with that quicksand and then do one final vacuuming of this just to clean everything up a little bit. Here's a picture of the final product. Now those chips of paint and that little bit of hole in the screen there may or may not have been me. Yeah, it was me. We'll have to fix that later.
Well, that's another project done. Wasn't too bad doing it, and I think that's going to help out a lot, keep this piece of the wall from moving on us. And now we can slam the door like we're used to and we like to hear. It's hot here. I think I'm going to go get some iced tea. Thanks for watching.